footprints didn't vanish. They remained sealed beneath sediment, preserved by chance, protected from erosion by layers of ancient lakebed. And when they were finally uncovered, they didn't just suggest early humans in America, they proved it. Even more unsettling was who left them. The footprints weren't made by big game hunters marching across the continent in search of mammoths. They were made by ordinary people, families, children, teenagers, individuals walking back and forth across a muddy shore as if they belonged there, because they did. This wasn't a brief exploration, it was settlement. Some tracks show repeated paths worn into the ground by many feet over time. Others reveal people carrying loads, possibly firewood or food, judging by the way their gait shifts under weight. One particularly striking trackway shows a child walking in the prints of an adult, carefully placing each foot inside the larger impressions, a behavior seen in children even today. These are not the traces of desperate survivors clinging to life at the edge of the world. They are the traces of a community. This realization changes everything. It suggests that humans adapted to the Americas far earlier than expected, surviving extreme cold, unfamiliar ecosystems, and megafauna long before the rise of Clovis culture. It means American prehistory doesn't begin with spear points, it begins with footsteps. And the footprints raise even bigger questions. If humans were here 23,000 years ago, where did they come from? How long had they been here before these tracks were made? And why did their descendants vanish from the archaeological record for thousands of years afterward? Genetic evidence may hold the answer. Ancient DNA studies of indigenous peoples show a complex ancestry rooted in Northeast Asia, with signs of population isolation in Beringia, the land bridge that once connected Siberia and Alaska. Some genetic models suggest humans may have entered the Americas earlier than 20,000 years ago, then became trapped south of the ice sheets as glaciers expanded. The footprints fit that model perfectly. They may represent descendants of one of the earliest migration waves, a population that arrived early, survived the Ice Age, and later either merged with incoming groups or disappeared entirely. This would explain a long-standing mystery in American archaeology, why there appears to be a gap between these early dates and the later widespread appearance of Clovis sites. The answer may be simple. The people who left the footprints were pioneers, and pioneers don't always leave descendants. Their world was harsh. Climate shifts were violent. Droughts and floods and megafaunal extinctions reshaped the land. Small populations could vanish without leaving much behind, except footprints. What makes the White Sands discovery so powerful is that it bypasses the usual arguments. Tools can be disputed, bones can be misidentified, but footprints are intimate. They are human in a way few artifacts are. You can see pace, you can see hesitation, you can see life. And that's why this discovery was so threatening to the old model. It didn't just challenge dates, it challenged the entire story of how humans reached the Americas. Today, the scientific consensus is shifting. More researchers now accept that humans were present far earlier than once believed. New sites are being re-examined, old assumptions are being questioned, and the ice-free corridor, once seen as the only gateway into the New World, is being quietly retired. The footprints in New Mexico didn't just change American history, they rewrote it. They remind us that the past isn't fixed, it waits, buried beneath layers of earth, beneath certainty and pride, until one discovery forces us to admit we were wrong. 23,000 years ago, a child stepped into the mud at the edge of a frozen lake. They had no idea their footprint would survive an ice age, outlast civilizations, and shatter a myth taught for generations. But it did. And now every step we take into the past must follow where they walked first.
For nearly a century, one idea dominated the story of how humans reached the Americas. It was taught in classrooms, printed in textbooks, and repeated in documentaries. The theory claimed that the first Americans arrived no earlier than 13,000 years ago, walking south through an ice-free corridor that opened between two massive glaciers in Canada near the end of the last ice age. According to this story, before the ice melted, the Americas were empty of humans. No footprints, no camps, no children playing in the mud, just ice and silence. But that story is now broken. Not challenged, not adjusted, destroyed. And the evidence wasn't found in a cave or a skull or a weapon. It was found pressed into ancient mud beneath layers of time, waiting quietly for humans to finally notice where they had stepped. In the White Sands region of southern New Mexico, researchers uncovered something that should not exist according to everything we thought we knew. Human footprints, perfectly shaped, clearly defined, some belonging to adults, others unmistakably left by children. And they weren't recent. They weren't even close. These footprints were dated to 23,000 years ago, deep inside the last ice age, when massive ice sheets covered much of North America and the ice-free corridor did not exist at all. If these dates were correct, then humans were already living in the Americas 10,000 years earlier than the old model allowed. That would mean they didn't walk through an open corridor. It would mean they arrived another way. And it would mean generations of scientists were wrong. At first, many refused to believe it. The discovery was announced in 2021, and the reaction was immediate: skepticism, pushback, headlines filled with cautious language. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Some suggested the footprints might not be human. Others questioned the dating. A few argued the impressions could have been made by animals, distorted with time into something that only looked human. But the mud told a different story. Each footprint showed a distinct heel strike, arch, and toe alignment consistent with modern humans. Some prints showed people slipping slightly, correcting their balance as they walked across soft ground. Others revealed children running, stopping, turning around. In several trackways, adult footprints overlapped with smaller ones, suggesting families moving together across a wet lake shore. This wasn't a single footprint left by chance. It was a landscape of movement, a frozen moment in time that captured daily life. To date the footprints, researchers didn't rely on guesswork. They extracted ancient seeds embedded in the sediment layers above and below the prints. These seeds came from ditch grass, a plant that grew along the edges of Ice Age lakes. Using radiocarbon dating, scientists measured the age of the seeds with extreme precision. The results came back again and again with the same answer: between 21 and 23,000 years old. That placed humans in North America during the last glacial maximum, the coldest and most hostile period of the Ice Age. This was the moment when the ice sheets were at their largest, when sea levels were far lower, when much of Canada was locked under kilometers of ice. The ice-free corridor simply did not exist yet. So how did humans get here? The footprints force us to confront a new reality. If people were already walking across New Mexico 23,000 years ago, they must have arrived long before that, and they couldn't have come through the center of the continent. The only remaining route is one scientists once dismissed as too difficult, too early, too dangerous: the coast. As sea levels dropped during the Ice Age, vast stretches of land were exposed along the Pacific shoreline. Forests, kelp beds, and rich marine ecosystems formed what researchers now call the Kelp Highway. This coastal route could have supported small human groups traveling by foot and simple watercraft, moving south along the edge of the continent thousands of years before the glaciers retreated. For decades, this idea struggled to gain acceptance. Coastal migration left fewer archaeological traces. Rising sea levels drowned campsites. Evidence vanished beneath the ocean.